Commander Jack Harrison stood at the observation window of Earth Defense Force headquarters, watching dark clouds gather over what used to be Chicago. Rain hadn't fallen naturally there since the Vexari mining operations began 3 months ago. The once great city was now a massive pit, with alien machinery digging deeper by the day. 15 million people had called it home. Now they lived in hastily built camps across the Midwest. Still admiring the view? The voice belonged to General Frank Porter. The old man's face had aged 10 years in the 6 months since first contact. Just reminding myself why we fight, Jack said, turning away from the window. The council representatives want to meet. They're not happy about the attacks in Detroit. Jack almost laughed. They killed 3 million people in Detroit and they're upset about a few damaged mining machines? To them, the machines are worth more. Porter's voice was tired. The meeting's in an hour. They requested you specifically. Jack knew why. As the military officer who had made first contact with the council scout ship, he had become the reluctant face of human-alien relations. The aliens seemed to think this gave him influence. They didn't understand that Earth's military had been sidelined by politicians eager to please their new galactic overlords. I'll be there, Jack said. The general nodded and left. Jack returned to the window, remembering the day everything changed. He had been commanding a routine patrol when the alien ship appeared. First contact should have been humanity's greatest moment. Instead, within weeks, Earth's leaders had signed away their planet's resources in exchange for membership in the Galactic Council. By the time anyone realized what the fine print meant, council ships were in orbit and mining operations had begun. The trip to council headquarters took 30 minutes by helicopter. The massive structure had been built on the ruins of the United Nations in New York, a deliberate symbol that Earth was now under new management. Inside, Jack was escorted to the main chamber where 5 alien representatives sat at a raised platform. He recognized each species: the tall, thin Vexari who ran the mining operations, the 4-armed Quarren who handled security, the almost human Taladax who served as the main diplomat. 2 others whose names he couldn't pronounce. Commander Harrison, the Taladax representative, spoke in perfect English. We are concerned about recent events. As am I, Jack replied, standing straight. The Detroit bombardment was an act of war against civilians. The Quarren made a sound like grinding metal, which Jack had learned was laughter. The removal of resistance elements was authorized by your own government. This was technically true. Earth's new Global Cooperation Council, puppets chosen by the aliens, had signed off on the attack. We did not come here to discuss settled matters, the Taladax continued. We are concerned about attacks on mining operations across your North American region. They are being carried out by military personnel using military equipment. Former military, Jack corrected. Many soldiers resigned when they saw what was happening. You will help us stop them, the Vexari said. It wasn't a request. I don't have that authority, Jack said. Then you will help us identify them, the Taladax insisted. We have compiled a list of suspects. A holographic display appeared showing faces Jack recognized. Good people, friends. If you cooperate, they will be processed humanely, the Taladax said. If not, we will take more direct action, like Detroit. Jack felt cold anger building in his chest. 6 months ago, he had believed in following orders, in working within the system. That belief had died in Detroit's ashes. I'll see what I can do, he lied. They seemed satisfied with his answer. The meeting ended, and Jack was escorted out. Instead of returning to headquarters, he directed his pilot to take him to Madison Field Hospital. The facility was overflowing with refugees from Chicago and Detroit. It was also where he would find the one person who might actually be able to help. Dr. Olivia Martinez had been working 30-hour shifts since the Detroit bombardment. Her eyes were red with exhaustion when Jack found her. Commander, she said, not looking up from the patient she was treating. Come to see what cooperation with the council looks like up close? They had known each other before first contact. She had been a leading physicist at CERN, working on theories that might someday lead to faster-than-light travel. Now she was treating radiation burns from alien weapons. I need to talk to you, Jack said quietly. Somewhere private. 10 minutes later, they stood in a supply closet. It was the only place they could be sure wasn't monitored. They asked me to help them find the resistance fighters, Jack said. And will you? Her eyes were hard. You know me better than that, Liv. He took a deep breath. I'm ready to join. Officially. Her expression didn't change. Why now? They showed me a target list. People I know. Good people. And they threatened another Detroit. Olivia studied him for a long moment. My family lived in Chicago. My parents, my sister, her kids. They're all in camps now. The lucky ones. I know. No, you don't know, she said sharply. The council doesn't just want our resources, they want compliant slaves, and our leaders gave us to them without a fight. Not all of us, Jack said. I'm here now. She reached into her pocket and handed him a small device. This will lead you to us when you're ready. Don't use it until you're absolutely sure you're not being followed. What about you? I have work to finish here, then I'm going underground too. She opened the door. The resistance needs people like you, Jack. But if you're playing both sides, I'll kill you myself. He believed her. That night, Jack returned to his apartment for the last time. He packed lightly, clothes, a few personal items, his father's old service pistol. As he was about to leave, his secure military comm buzzed. General Porter's voice came through. Harrison, emergency meeting. The council found a resistance cell in Boston. They're planning a response. Another Detroit? Porter's silence was answer enough. I'm on my way, Jack said. He wasn't. Instead, he activated Olivia's device. It projected a set of coordinates outside, the city. As he drove into the night, Jack knew there was no going back. The council had made Earth's choice clear: submit or die. He chose a third option. Behind him, the lights of the city glowed against the night sky. Ahead, only darkness. But somewhere in that darkness was hope and revenge. The resistance base was hidden underneath an abandoned farm in rural Wisconsin. Jack had expected something primitive, perhaps a few dozen people with stolen weapons. What he found instead amazed him. The underground facility stretched for nearly a mile in all directions. Hundreds of people moved with purpose through well-lit tunnels. Military personnel trained alongside civilians. Engineers worked on modified equipment. It was an operation far larger than he had imagined possible. Impressed? Olivia appeared beside him. Unlike at the hospital, she now stood straight, eyes clear and focused. How did you build all this without them knowing? Jack asked. The council's arrogance works in our favor. They think we're primitive, so they don't look for advanced hiding techniques. She gestured for him to follow. And we have help from an unexpected source. She led him into a large room filled with strange equipment. The technology looked alien but modified. Wires and human components had been attached to sleek council devices. Most of this came from Alan Reeves, Olivia explained. Jack knew the name. Alan Reeves was a tech billionaire who had publicly supported council integration. His companies had been among the first to work with alien technology. He's with the Resistance? One of our key supporters. The council thinks he's helping them understand human markets. In reality, he's been stealing their tech and funneling resources to us. A tall man with gray hair approached them. You must be Harrison. I'm Sam Baker, former NSA. I handle security here. Can we trust him? Jack asked, nodding toward a Taladax working alongside human engineers across the room. Nix is different, Sam said. He's been helping us for months. The alien looked up at the mention of his name and gave what Jack assumed was a greeting gesture. Not all council species agree with what's happening, Olivia explained. Nix was a scientist before the invasion. He believes the council has betrayed its original purpose, which was to maintain peace and ensure species don't destroy each other, Nix said, joining them. His voice had the typical Taladax melodic quality. Not to enslave worlds for resources. Jack wasn't ready to trust any alien, but he kept his doubts to himself. "I need to show you something," Olivia said, leading him to her lab. Inside, screens displayed data Jack couldn't understand. In the center sat a strange device connected to what looked like a medical chair. "This is what I've been working on," she said, pride and worry mixing in her voice. "We call it the resonance disruptor." "What does it do?" "The Council's power comes from their galactic resonance network," Nix explained. "It allows instantaneous communication across the galaxy. All their technology depends on it." "And you've found a way to attack it?" Jack asked. "Better than that," Olivia said. "I've discovered that human brainwave patterns create interference in their network. Something about our neural structure is unique in the galaxy." She activated a screen showing wave patterns. "These are normal Council communication waves. These," she pointed to chaotic patterns, "are what happens when human brainwave patterns are amplified and injected into their network." "So this device disrupts their communications?" "It can do more than that," Nick said. "It could potentially collapse their entire network. Every ship, weapon, and system would fail simultaneously." Jack saw the potential immediately. "That would change everything." "There's a problem." Olivia's voice grew quiet. "The process requires direct neural interfacing. The human operator wouldn't survive." The weight of her words settled over the room. Jack stared at the chair, understanding now why it looked like a medical device. "How many would we need?" "7, she said. "Positioned around key network nodes. We've identified the locations." Jack nodded slowly. "And you have volunteers?" "More than we need," Sam said. "People who lost everything in Detroit and Chicago. They want to make their deaths count." Jack turned away, processing what he'd learned. Even if we take down their network, they still have ships and weapons. They would recover eventually. "That's where you come in," a new voice said. A woman in a Navy uniform entered the lab. Jack recognized her immediately, Admiral Elaine Wilson, former commander of the Atlantic Fleet. "Admiral." Jack stood straighter instinctively. "I thought you were working with the Council's integration team." "I am, from the inside." Her eyes were hard. "While Dr. Martinez works on the network disruptor, we need someone to build a military response that can capitalize on the moment of weakness." "You want me to create an armed resistance?" "We want you to build an army," Admiral Wilson said. "One that can strike simultaneously across the solar system when the network falls." Jack considered what they were asking. It seemed impossible. Yet looking around at what they had already accomplished, "The Council is planning another strike like Detroit," he said. "Boston. They found a resistance cell there." The news sent a ripple of tension through the room. "We can't be ready in time to stop that," Admiral Wilson said, her voice tight. "But we can use it." "How?" Jack asked. "Their response will create more recruits for us, more people willing to fight." Her face showed no emotion, but Jack saw the calculation in her eyes. "We need you to be in position to receive them." "What position is that?" "The Council has asked Earth's government to create a human peacekeeping force," she explained. "Humans. Policing humans under Council direction. They're offering you command." Jack understood. "They want me to help them control the population." "And we want you to accept," Sam said. "Build a force that looks loyal, but will turn when the moment comes." It was a dangerous game. If caught, he would be executed, likely after torture to reveal the resistance location. "How long do I have to decide?" Jack asked. "You don't," Olivia said simply. "Boston happens tomorrow. We need your answer now." Jack thought of all the people who had died. All who would die tomorrow. And all who would die in the future if nothing changed. "I'll do it," he said. "But I need to know everything about this plan, every detail." Admiral Wilson nodded. "Come with me. We have a lot to discuss before morning." As Jack followed her out, Olivia caught his arm. "Jack," she said quietly, "once you go back, you'll be alone. We can't risk communication. I understand. Trust no one," she warned. "The Council has human collaborators everywhere. Even here? Her expression answered his question. Be careful who you recruit. Jack glanced at the Resonance Disruptor 1. Last time, the device represented hope, but at a terrible cost. 7 volunteers would die to give Earth a chance. How long before it's ready? He asked. 3 months, maybe 4, Olivia said. Make it 2, Jack replied. After Boston, things will get worse. The Council will tighten control. We need to move before they realize what we're planning. Outside, the lab, the underground base, hummed with activity. Humans preparing for war against an enemy that thought it had already won. Tomorrow, Jack would return to the world above. He would pretend to serve the invaders while secretly building the force that would help destroy them. The Galactic Council had made a fatal mistake. They had thought humans were primitive, easy to control. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 2 months passed. Boston was gone, just like Detroit. 5 million dead in an instant. The Council called it necessary pacification. Earth's puppet government nodded and smiled. Jack stood in his new office at Earth Peacekeeping Force headquarters, a gleaming building constructed by Council technology in what used to be Washington, D.C. His uniform was crisp, adorned with the rank of commander. To the world, he was the face of human cooperation with the Galactic Council, the perfect collaborator. In reality, he was about to commit the greatest act of treason in human history. Sir, the new recruits have arrived. Lieutenant Susan Miller said from the doorway. She was one of his most trusted officers, handpicked from former military who had lost family in the Council attacks. Show them in, Jack said. 50 men and women filed into the large briefing room adjacent to his office. They wore the blue uniforms of the Earth Peacekeeping Force. Their faces were blank, showing nothing. Jack studied them carefully. You all know why you're here, he began. Officially, you're joining the Peacekeeping Force to maintain order. Unofficially. He pressed a button, activating a signal jammer that would block Council monitoring. Unofficially, you're joining the Resistance. Their expressions didn't change. They had been warned this might be a trap. 2 months ago, I stood where you're standing, Jack continued. I had to make the same choice you're making now. Fight for humanity or serve our new masters. He pulled out his sidearm and placed it on the table. If anyone wants to turn me into the Council, now's your chance. You'd be rewarded handsomely. No one moved. Good, Jack said, returning the weapon to its holster. Because in 3 weeks, we're going to hit the Council harder than they've ever been hit before. He activated the wall screen, showing a map of the solar system. Red dots appeared at key locations. Each of you will be assigned to a ship or installation. You'll bring in others you trust absolutely. When the signal comes, you'll take control and execute your assigned targets. What signal? Asked a woman near the front. You'll know it when it happens, Jack said. The entire Council network will fail. Every ship, weapon, and communication system they have will go dark. A murmur ran through the group. How is that possible? Someone asked. You don't need to know, Jack replied firmly. The less you know about certain aspects, the safer everyone will be. He didn't tell them about the 7 volunteers who would die to make it happen, about the resonance disruptors that Olivia and her team were finalizing. Some secrets had to be kept even from allies. What about their fleet at the edge of the system? A former Navy officer asked. The moment we move, they'll respond. Admiral Wilson is handling that, Jack said. That's all you need to know. He spent the next hour outlining each team's assignment. When he finished, he looked at the faces before him. Former soldiers, pilots, and officers who had lost everything to the Council's invasion. In 3 weeks, humanity either takes back our planet or we die trying. There is no middle ground anymore, they saluted. Not the casual salute of the peacekeeping force, but the sharp military salute of soldiers ready for war. After they left, Lieutenant Miller remained. Do you think we can trust all of them? She asked. No, Jack admitted. But we're out of time. The Council is planning something big. Their mining operations are accelerating beyond anything we've seen before. What do you think they're doing? According to our source in the Council, they're preparing to harvest the entire Northern Hemisphere. They'll move the population to processing centers in Africa and South America. Susan's face paled. Processing centers? Where humans will be sorted by usefulness, Jack said grimly. Those with needed skills will be kept as workers. The rest, he didn't need to finish. They both knew what happened to unnecessary populations under council rule. I need to get to the Berlin meeting, Jack said, checking his watch. The council is expecting me to present the next phase of human integration. Good luck, sir, Susan said. Jack left headquarters in his official transport, a sleek vehicle that marked him as council approved. As he flew over the rebuilt Washington, D.C., he saw what Earth's future would be if they failed. Beautiful buildings constructed with alien technology, populated only by human collaborators and their council masters. The rest of humanity would be gone. The Berlin meeting was being held in a massive new structure where the Brandenburg Gate once stood. Jack found the symbolism fitting, one historic symbol of liberation replaced by a monument to subjugation. Inside, he found the usual mix of alien representatives and human puppets. The head of the Vexari mining operation, a creature named Dex, approached him immediately. Commander Harrison, the alien said in its clicking voice. We are pleased with your peacekeeping force's progress. Thank you, Jack replied with practiced humility. We're working hard to ensure human compliance. Yes, most satisfactory. The recent riots in Moscow were handled efficiently. Jack nodded, not mentioning that he had secretly warned the resistance cell there before sending in his forces. The riot had been staged, the resistance fighters long gone before his troops arrived. I have reviewed your integration plan, Dex continued. Most impressive. The council will approve it today. The plan was a carefully constructed deception. Timelines extended to buy more time, troop deployments designed to position resistance, fighters in key locations. Every page contained hidden preparations for the coming attack. I'm honored, Jack said. As the meeting began, Jack took his place at the table. He looked at the faces around him. Aliens who saw humans as resources to be harvested, humans who had sold out their own kind for comfort and power. In 3 weeks, everything would change. Either humanity would take back their planet, or Jack and everyone associated with the resistance would be dead. His secure comm unit vibrated, an encrypted message from Olivia. All 7 disruptors ready, volunteers in final preparation. Admiral Wilson has made contact with allies among subjugated species. We are go. Jack deleted the message immediately. He looked up at the council. Representatives, smiling and nodding as they discussed the efficient exploitation of his planet. Soon, he thought. Very soon. The day had arrived. After months of planning, the resistance was ready to strike. Jack stood on the bridge of the EPS Defender, the flagship of Earth's small peacekeeping fleet. The ship had been gifted to humanity by the Council, a symbol of trust. That trust had been misplaced. Every crew member on the bridge was resistance. Every system had been secretly modified. The ship appeared normal to Council scans, but beneath the surface, it was a weapon of rebellion. Status report, Jack ordered, his voice calm despite the weight of what was about to happen. All ships in position, Lieutenant Miller replied from her station. Earth forces are ready. Jack checked the time. Olivia and her team would be activating the resonance disruptors in exactly 30 minutes. 7 brave volunteers would give their lives to create a chance for humanity. The Defender orbited Jupiter, where Jack had been ordered to attend a special assembly of the Galactic Council. The massive council station hung in space nearby, its curved form gleaming in the distant sunlight. Inside were representatives from over 50 alien races, including Earth's puppet leaders. Open a channel to Admiral Wilson, Jack said. The Admiral's face appeared on screen. She was on Earth coordinating ground forces. Everything is ready here, she said without preamble. The people are in position. Millions of humans around the globe were prepared to rise up the moment the Council's technology failed. They would target communication arrays, landing zones, and collaborator strongholds. What about our friends? Jack asked. Standing by, Wilson replied with a slight smile. Their friends were resistance fighters from other subjugated species. During the past months, Admiral Wilson had made contact with groups who had been fighting the Council for centuries. Most had been skeptical that humans, primitives who had only recently discovered space travel, could succeed where they had failed, but a few had been convinced to help. "Good luck, Commander," Wilson said before ending the transmission. Jack turned to his crew. These men and women had trained in secret for months preparing for this single day. They knew the risks. If they failed, Earth would suffer consequences far worse than Detroit or Boston. "Begin approach to the Council station," Jack ordered. "Standard protocol." The Defender moved toward the station, its transponder broadcasting friendly identification codes. On the station's landing deck, Council security forces waited to escort Jack to the assembly. "Sir," Miller said quietly, "are you sure about going in person? If something goes wrong?" "It has to be me," Jack replied. "The Council requested me specifically. If I don't show up, they'll suspect something." What he didn't say was that he wanted to see their faces when their power crumbled. He wanted to watch the moment when the mighty Galactic Council realized they had underestimated humanity. Jack boarded a shuttle with a small security team, all resistance fighters. As they approached the station, he checked his watch again. 15 minutes until activation. The landing was smooth. Council security, mostly Quarren with their forearms and advanced weapons, greeted them with cold efficiency. "Commander Harrison," the lead security officer said, "you will come with us. Your team will remain here." Jack had expected this. "Of course," he said, nodding to his people. They knew what to do if he didn't return. The council chamber was enormous, a vast circular room with seating for hundreds of representatives. In the center was a raised platform where the High Council, leaders of the 7 most powerful species, sat in ornate chairs. Earth had no seat on the High Council, of course. Humans were represented by appointed officials who stood at the back of the chamber. Jack was led to a speaking position in front of the High Council. Looking up at them, he felt a surge of hatred. These were the beings who had authorized the destruction of Detroit and Boston, who had planned to process billions of humans. "Commander Harrison," the Vexari High Counselor spoke, its voice translated by Council technology. "We have reviewed your progress. Earth's integration proceeds according to schedule." Jack nodded, respectfully. "The Earth Peacekeeping Force is honored to serve the Council." "Yes," the Quarren High Counselor said. "Your service has been noted. However, we have detected concerning patterns, unusual movements of your ships, strange allocations of personnel." Jack kept his expression neutral. Had they discovered the plan? He checked his watch subtly. 7 minutes. The reorganization is to improve efficiency, he said smoothly. "As detailed in my last report, your reports are very thorough," the Taladax High Counselor said. "Perhaps too thorough. They read like someone trying very hard to appear compliant." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. They suspected. "I assure you," he began, but was cut off. "We have received intelligence," the Vexari said, "about a possible human resistance movement, one that may have infiltrated your peacekeeping force." 5 minutes. "There are always rumors," Jack said. "We investigate all of them. So far, nothing substantial has been found." The High Council members looked at each other, communicating in some silent way. Jack wondered if they were using the Galactic Resonance Network, the very system Olivia was about to attack. "We have decided," the Vexari finally said, "to accelerate the resource extraction plan. The Northern Hemisphere will be cleared within the month. Your peacekeeping force will assist in the population transfer. 3 minutes. "That's sooner than expected," Jack said carefully. "It will be difficult to prepare the population in such a short time." "Compliance is not optional," the Quarren said harshly. "We have already positioned our fleet at the edge of your solar system. Any resistance will be met with force. 2 minutes. Jack took a deep breath. They were so arrogant, so certain of their power that they were openly threatening Earth right to his face. They didn't even consider him a threat. "I understand," he said. Earth will comply. 1 minute. The Vexari seemed satisfied. You may return to your ship, Commander. Prepare your forces for the operation. Jack bowed slightly and turned to leave. He had almost reached the door when the chamber lights flickered. 0. Across the solar system. 7 resonance disruptors activated simultaneously. 7 brave volunteers, men and women who had lost everything to the Council, died to give Earth a chance at freedom. The effect was immediate. The lights in the Council chamber went out completely. Then emergency systems kicked in with a dim, red glow. Around him, Jack heard the confused voices of Council representatives. What is happening? The Vexari demanded. Unknown malfunction, someone replied. The network is not responding. Jack smiled in the darkness. It wasn't a malfunction. It was revolution. Security, the Quarren shouted. Detain the human. But the security force's weapons had failed along with everything else. Jack drew his sidearm, a simple projectile weapon that didn't rely on Council technology. I bring a message from Earth, he said, his voice carrying across the suddenly silent chamber. Your Council's reign ends today. Chaos erupted across the solar system. On Earth, millions of humans rose up against their oppressors. With Council technology failing, the alien forces were suddenly vulnerable. Mining operations were overrun. Landing zones were captured. Collaborators found themselves facing the anger of those they had betrayed. In orbit around Jupiter, Jack stood in the Council chamber, his weapon trained on the High Council members. Their confusion had turned to fear as they realized what was happening. This is impossible, the Vexari High Counselor said. Our technology cannot simply fail. Humans are full of surprises, Jack replied. You should have studied us more carefully before trying to enslave us. The Defender, under Lieutenant Miller's command, had already secured the station's docking bay. Resistance fighters were spreading throughout the structure, capturing key systems and Council personnel. Jack's comm unit crackled. The sound was scratchy, a sign that they were using the backup systems Olivia had designed. Commander, this is Miller. The station is secure. All Council ships in the area have been disabled. What about Earth? Jack asked. Reports coming in from all continents, Miller replied. The uprising is succeeding. Council forces are in retreat or surrendering. The High Council members listened to this exchange with growing horror. You cannot win, the Quarren insisted. Our fleet at the edge of your system will respond. They will destroy your entire planet in retaliation. Jack smiled. I'm afraid they have problems of their own. Far from Earth, at the very edge of the solar system, Admiral Wilson's plan was unfolding. For months, she had been in contact with resistance groups from other subjugated species. When the network failed, these allies had moved against the Council fleet, the mighty warships designed to operate on the now-failed Galactic Resonance Network hung powerless in space. Their crews, cut off from the Council's control, were facing rebellions from within. Servant species who had been waiting centuries for this moment. Your fleet is no longer yours, Jack told the Council members. None of your empire is. The network collapse isn't just affecting Earth. It's spreading across the galaxy. This was the truth. Olivia's resonance disruptors had created a cascading failure that was racing through the network at faster than light speeds. Every world under Council control was experiencing the same thing Earth was, the sudden freedom to fight back. This cannot be happening, the Taladex counselor whispered. Jack heard footsteps behind him. He turned to see Olivia entering the chamber, accompanied by several resistance fighters. Her face was drawn with exhaustion and grief. It's done, she said simply. Jack nodded, understanding what she meant. The 7 volunteers were gone. Their sacrifice had made this moment possible. What happens now? Asked one of Earth's former puppet representatives, who had been quietly trying to hide behind a pillar. Now, Jack said, we build something better. When the days that followed, the true scale of what humanity had accomplished became clear. The Council's power structure, maintained for thousands of years, had collapsed overnight. Ships were stranded. Communication was impossible. Subject worlds that had been oppressed for centuries seized their chance for freedom. On Earth, the resistance quickly established control. The mining operations were shut down. Alien technology was repurposed to begin healing the environmental damage. The collaborators who had enabled the Council's rule were arrested to await trial. 1 week after what was already being called Liberation Day, Jack stood in a temporary headquarters in the ruins of Chicago. Maps and screens showed the status of Earth's recovery efforts. Reports from space indicated that the Council's fleet had been completely neutralized. Olivia entered, looking slightly better than she had on the Council station. The weight of the 7 volunteers' deaths would always be with her, but there was now pride alongside the grief. "The new communication system is working," she reported. "We've made contact with resistance groups on 27 former Council worlds." This was Olivia's new project, building a replacement for the destroyed Galactic Resonance Network. The new system incorporated principles from various species' technologies, creating something stronger than any single approach. "What are they saying?" Jack asked. "They want to talk. Many of them have been fighting the Council for centuries. They can't quite believe it's over." "It's not over," Admiral Wilson said, joining them. "The Council races are still out there. They've lost their network, but they still have technologies and weapons we can only dream of. They'll try to rebuild. Which is why we need allies," Jack said. "The other species who were oppressed with us." Nix, the Taladak scientist who had helped the resistance, stepped forward. "My people are ready to join you. Many of us never supported the Council's actions. We believed in the original purpose and peace and cooperation, not dominance." Jack studied the alien thoughtfully. During the planning stages, he had never fully trusted Nix. Now he was beginning to see that humans weren't the only victims of the Council's corruption. "What do you propose?" Jack asked. "A new alliance," Nix said. "Not based on control, but on genuine cooperation. Each world contributing according to their abilities, each receiving protection regardless of their technological level." It was a bold vision. Some humans would resist the idea of any alliance with alien species after what they had suffered. But Jack knew isolation wasn't the answer. "We'll need time," he said. "Earth needs to heal first." "Of course," Nix agreed. "All worlds do." Outside the window, construction crews were already at work, rebuilding Chicago. It would never be the same city it was before the Council came, but perhaps it could be something new, something better. A memorial was being built in orbit around Earth, containing the names of every volunteer who had sacrificed themselves to power the resonance disruptors. Alongside them would be the names of everyone who died in Detroit, Boston, and all the other atrocities committed by the Council. "Commander," a young officer said, entering the room, "the remaining Council representatives are asking for terms." Jack exchanged glances with Olivia and Admiral Wilson. This was the moment they had fought for, the chance to dictate terms rather than receive them. "Tell them Earth is willing to discuss peace," Jack said, "but only as equals, never as subjects." The officer nodded and left to deliver the message. Earth was changed forever. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious but transformed. They had learned painful lessons about unity, sacrifice, and the price of freedom. The Galactic Council had intended to exploit a primitive species. Instead, they had awakened a force that would reshape the galaxy. And when Earth took its revenge, the Galactic Council fell silent.